Hello, this video is about NetSuite Configuring Items for Advanced Revenue Management. We will cover the overview of the item types, how to set the default revenue account, and the different revenue recognition fields. When you see Advanced Revenue Management, revenue arrangements are created based on the configuration you specify in the Advanced Revenue Recognition section of the Revenue Recognition Amortization subtab on Item Records. You can configure Advanced Revenue Management for the following item types: Assembly, including serialized and lot numbered; Download item; Kit or package; Inventory, including serialized and lot numbered; Non-inventory, for sale or resale; Other charge, for sale or resale; Service, for sale or resale. The deferred revenue account for each item is selected on the Accounting subtab. The default value for this field is determined by the accounting preference. Default deferred revenue account. When no account is set, the system-generated deferred revenue account is used. The income account on the Accounting subtab must also have a value. The preference default deferred revenue account is on the Items or Transactions subtab of the Accounting Preference page at Setup, select Accounting, then select Accounting Preferences. Revenue Recognition Fields. The following fields in the Advanced Revenue Recognition section of the Revenue Recognition Amortization subtab are used for revenue management. Revenue Recognition Rule. Select the revenue rule to use by default for this item for actual revenue recognition plans. The default value for this field is determined by the default standard revenue recognition rule accounting preference. You can set the default value by going to Setup, select Accounting, select Accounting Preference. The preference default standard revenue recognition is on the General subtab under the Revenue Recognition section. RevRec Forecast Rule. Select a revenue rule to use for forecast revenue recognition plans. This enables you to create revenue recognition plans for forecasting purposes when actual revenue recognition plans have not yet been created. The default is determined by the same accounting preference as the revenue recognition rule. You may select the same or different rules for actual and forecast rules. Percent complete rules are not available as forecast rules. Create revenue plans on. This field determines the event that triggers creation of revenue recognition plans. Match the event with the amount source of the item's revenue recognition rule. The revenue plans may be created automatically or manually according to the revenue plan update frequency setting in your accounting preferences. This field is not required. If you leave the field blank, you can select the value in the revenue arrangement when the item is an element in a contract. The Create Revenue Plans On field has the following options: Revenue Arrangement Creation. Revenue plans can be created manually as soon as the revenue arrangement has been created. If you select this option, select a revenue recognition rule that has event percent based on amount as its amount source. Billing. Revenue plans can be created after the sales order is billed. Plans are also generated from standalone cash sales, invoices, credit memos, and cash refunds. If you select this option, select a revenue recognition rule that has event percent based on amount as the amount source. Fulfillment. This option is available only when the advanced shipping feature is enabled. If you select this option, be sure that the revenue recognition rule you select has event percent based on quantity as its amount source. Project Progress. This option is available only when the project's feature is enabled. If you select this option, be sure that the revenue recognition rule you select has event percent complete as its amount source. Hold revenue recognition. Check this box to delay posting from a revenue recognition plan by putting it on hold. When a revenue plan is on hold, The total balance of the delayed item remains in the deferred revenue account until you cancel the hold. Item revenue category. Item revenue category is a classification for items that have similar characteristics and revenue allocation requirements. The options in this list are configured during setup to meet the specific needs of your company. Allocation type. Select an allocation type to associate with this item on sales transactions. The default value is normal. The options for allocation type are normal. Revenue allocation for the item follows the fair value price list. Exclude. The item is excluded from revenue allocation. The item discounted sales amount is the revenue amount. Software. The item is software. Revenue allocation follows the fair value price list. Then, if the fair value prices for any of the items in the allocation are estimates rather than VSOE, revenue allocation is recalculated using the residual method. Revenue allocation group. The revenue allocation group value is used in group sum functions in fair value formulas. The option you select here is the default, but you can change it on the revenue element. The available options are configured during setup to meet the specific needs of your company. Permit discount. Choose from the following to determine how discounts are handled for this item. As allowed, allows a portion of an applicable discount to be applied against this item when revenue allocation is performed. Never prevents a discount from being applied against this item when revenue allocation is performed. Default as delivered. Check this box to set this item to a delivered status automatically when it is added to a transaction. Clear this box to leave the delivery status clear by default. The fulfillment status of an item is separate from its delivery status. An item may be marked delivered, although fulfillment has not yet occurred. The delivery status is one of the factors that determines whether the residual method can be used. Direct revenue posting. Check this box to disable advanced revenue management for this item. When checked, posting transactions that include this item post directly to the item revenue account. No revenue element or revenue arrangement is created. When you check this box, the deferred revenue account on the accounting subtab is disabled. When you create sales transactions that include items that have this box checked, all the items in the transaction must have the box checked. You cannot mix items that post directly to revenue with items that post to deferred revenue in the same transaction. This restriction also applies to kit items. All items in a kit must post either to revenue or to deferred revenue. By default, this box is not checked. You cannot check or clear the box after the item has been used in a transaction with advanced revenue management. Auto expansion for revenue management. This box appears only on kit items. When this box is checked, the parent kit item and its child product items become revenue elements. The child items include the fair value and accounting rules for advanced revenue management. By default, it is checked. Eligible for contingent revenue handling. Check this box to indicate that this item is subject to contingent revenue handling. When checked, revenue allocation is affected. This box appears only when the enabled contingent revenue handling accounting preference is checked. When the multi-book accounting and revenue and expense management features are enabled, an accounting book subtab is added to the revenue recognition amortization subtab. Thank you for watching. If you have any further questions, you may email netsuite@a2q2.com. Thank you.